The Great Hall of Nexus Prime Station was filled with noise. Representatives from 73 different alien species sat in their designated sections, their voices mixing into a chaotic symphony of clicks, whistles, and spoken words. The emergency meeting had been called suddenly, and nobody seemed happy about it. Ambassador Jiwoo stood near the back of the human section, her hands clasped behind her back. She wore the simple gray uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps, plain compared to the elaborate robes and decorative armor worn by the other representatives. Her face remained calm, showing nothing of what she felt inside. At the center of the chamber, High Commander Rixtal rose from his seat. He was massive, standing nearly 3 meters tall with 4 powerful arms and blue-green skin that glistened under the lights. His species, the Vex, had controlled 17 star systems for over 2,000 years. They were warriors, bred for combat and conquest. Members of the Galactic Council, Rixtal began, his voice booming through translation devices. We face a crisis. The primitive species called humanity has violated our territorial rights. They have established illegal colonies in the Kepler Expanse, lands that belong to the Vex Imperium by ancient law. Murmurs spread through the hall. Many representatives turned to look at Jiwoo. Some appeared curious. Others seemed amused. Humans had only joined the galactic community 50 years ago. Barely a moment in the long history of most species present. Council Arbiter Velmon, a being made entirely of living crystal, raised one translucent hand for silence. What evidence do you present, High Commander? Rixtal gestured, and holographic displays materialized above the center platform. They showed star charts of the Kepler Expanse with 3 small settlements marked in red. These colonies appeared 6 months ago. The humans built them without permission, without paying proper tribute to the Vex Imperium. Jiwoo remained silent, waiting. This was not the time to speak. Furthermore, Rixtal continued, we have detected a military response. The humans have dispatched a fleet to defend these illegal settlements. He paused, and a strange expression crossed his face. It took Jiwoo a moment to recognize it as amusement. They have sent 12 ships. Laughter erupted throughout the chamber. It started as scattered chuckles and grew into waves of open mockery. 12 ships. Against the might of the Vex Imperium, which commanded fleets numbering in the thousands. A representative from the insectoid crick species clicked out a phrase that the translators rendered as, did they forget the rest of their fleet at home? More laughter. Even Velmon, usually dignified and neutral, seemed to shimmer in a way that suggested quiet amusement. Rixtal raised all 4 arms. The humans mock us with this pathetic display. 12 ships. We have deployed 200 warships to the border of the Kepler Expanse. Each one could destroy a human vessel with a single volley. He turned to look directly at Jiwoo. Ambassador, does your species truly believe 12 ships can challenge the Vex Imperium? All eyes turned to Jiwoo. The laughter faded, replaced by expectant silence. She stepped forward slowly, moving into the light where everyone could see her clearly. She was small compared to most beings in the room, fragile-looking. Human, High Commander, Jiwoo said quietly, her voice steady. My government sent the fleet they believed was necessary for the situation. Rixtal laughed. A harsh barking sound. Necessary? 12 ships are necessary. Ambassador, either your leaders are fools or they wish to surrender before the battle begins. Jiwoo did not react to the insult. The colonies in the Kepler Expanse were established according to Section 7 of the Galactic Charter. They are legal under Council law. The Vex claim those territories by right of ancient conquest, Rixtal shot back. Claims that were never registered with the Council, Jiwoo replied. Claims that cannot be verified. Velmon's crystalline form pulsed with light. Ambassador Jiwoo raises a valid point. However, the matter of territorial disputes can be resolved through proper legal channels. The presence of military forces escalates this situation unnecessarily. Then let the humans withdraw their 12 ships, Rixtal said, his voice dripping with contempt. Let them crawl back to their tiny corner of space and abandon their illegal colonies. Or let them face the consequences. Jiwoo felt a vibration in her pocket, her communication device. She reached for it discreetly, glancing at the message. 2 words, in position. Ambassador, Velmon prompted. Jiwoo looked up. The fleet will not withdraw. Our colonies are legal. We will defend them. The chamber erupted again, but this time the laughter was mixed with disbelief. A few representatives appeared concerned, worried that the foolish humans were about to start a war they could not possibly win. Rixtal's face darkened. So be it, I gave you a chance to retreat with honor. Now you will face annihilation. I grant you 1 solar rotation to reconsider. After that, my fleet will advance and your 12 ships will be reduced to dust. Jiwoo bowed slightly, a gesture of acknowledgement rather than submission. The Terran hegemony thanks the Council for its attention to this matter. We await resolution according to proper legal procedures. As Jiwoo turned to leave, she heard the whispers following her. 12 ships. Suicide. The humans have gone mad. This will be over before it begins. She walked through the corridors of Nexus Prime with measured steps, her expression never changing. But inside, her heart was beating fast. Not from fear, from anticipation. They had mocked the small armada. All of them. The Vex, the Council. Every species that considered humanity to be primitive upstarts playing at galactic politics. They had asked the wrong question. They should not have asked why humanity sent only 12 ships. They should have asked why humanity only needed 12 ships. Jiwoo reached her private quarters and activated her secure communication console. The face that appeared on the screen belonged to Admiral Tae-sung, commander of the human fleet. His expression was serious, but there was steel in his eyes. "Ambassador," he said simply. "They've given us 1 solar rotation," Jiwoo reported. 24 hours, Tae-sung nodded. "More than enough time. All ships are in position. Systems are ready. We await your signal." "The Council laughed at us," Jiwoo said softly. "They won't be laughing tomorrow," Tae-sung replied. "The demonstration protocol is prepared. We'll show them exactly what 12 human ships can do." Jiwoo allowed herself a small smile. "The galaxy is about to learn a very important lesson, Admiral." "What lesson is that?" "That humanity doesn't build armies," Jiwoo said quietly. "We build solutions." 20 years ago, humanity had nearly died. Admiral Tae-sung remembered that day clearly. He had been a young lieutenant then, stationed aboard the exploration vessel Harmony. First contact with an alien species should have been a moment of celebration. Instead, it became a massacre. The alien ship had appeared without warning, its weapons already charging. The Harmony was a science vessel, unarmed and unprepared. The aliens had fired before any communication could be established. 300 people died in the first 30 seconds. Tae-sung survived only because he had been in the lower cargo bay when the bridge exploded. He floated in space for 6 hours watching the debris of his ship scatter among the stars, before a rescue team found him. That incident had taught humanity a harsh truth. The galaxy was not a peaceful place. Other species had been fighting wars for thousands of years. They had weapons that could crack planets. They had fleets that blotted out stars, and they looked at humanity the way a hunter looks at prey. Earth's governments had met in emergency session. Some wanted to hide, to pull back and avoid contact with alien species. Others wanted to build massive fleets, to match the other, species ship for ship. But a small group of scientists and military strategists had proposed a different approach. Dr. Haewon had stood before the World Council and spoken words that would change everything. "We cannot compete with quantity," she had said. "The Vex Empire alone has more ships than we could build in a century. But we can compete with quality. We can compete with innovation. While they rely on weapons that are thousands of years old, we can develop technology they have never imagined." The Terran Defense Initiative was born from that meeting. Humanity would build a fleet, but not a large one. Every ship would be a masterpiece of engineering. Every weapon would push the boundaries of physics. Every system would be designed to maximize efficiency and lethality. Tae-sung stood on the bridge of the THS Indomitable now, looking at the view screen that showed the vast emptiness of space. Somewhere beyond his sight, 200 Vex warships were moving into position. Somewhere even further, the Galactic Council was watching and waiting for humanity to be humiliated. Captain Subin approached him, her young face serious. She was only 28, but she had graduated top of her class at the Naval Academy. Her tactical mind was brilliant, seeing patterns and possibilities that others missed. "Admiral, all systems are showing green," she reported. "The quantum shields are charged. The Hellbore cannons are ready. The temporal dampeners are online. We can begin the demonstration protocol at your command." Tae-sung nodded. "And the other ships?" "All 11 vessels report ready status," Subin confirmed. The fleet is in formation. The Oracle is coordinating all movements. The Oracle, that was what they called the quantum computer that linked all 12 ships together. It could process information faster than any organic mind, coordinating attacks and defenses with microsecond precision. Each ship in the fleet was powerful on its own. Together, linked through the Oracle, they became something far greater. "Captain," Tae-sung said, "do you know why the other species never developed technology like ours?" Subin considered the question. "Because they never needed to, sir. They had numbers. They had time. They could afford to fight conventional wars." "Exactly," Tae-sung agreed. "They became comfortable. They stopped innovating. When you have 1,000 ships, why build a better ship? When your weapons already work, why invent new ones?" He turned to look at her directly. "Humanity doesn't have that luxury. We were forced to be creative. Fear made us clever." Dr. Haewon's voice came through the ship's communication system. "Admiral, this is the science bay. I'm running final checks on the quantum shield generators. Everything looks perfect," Tae-sung smiled. Haewon was aboard the Indomitable, overseeing the technology she had helped create. The quantum shields were her breakthrough. Other species used conventional energy barriers that absorbed damage until they overloaded. Human quantum shields redirected energy into subspace, making the ships nearly invulnerable. "Thank you, Doctor," Tae-sung replied. "Your work is about to change galactic history." "I hope so," Haewon said quietly. "My grandmother died on the Harmony. I built these shields so that no one else has to watch their ship explode around them." The bridge fell silent. Everyone aboard had lost someone in humanity's early encounters with alien species. Everyone had a reason to be here. Lieutenant Yoon Seo sat at the weapons console, her hands moving across holographic controls. She was checking the Hellbore cannons one more time. Those weapons were another human innovation. They fired compressed matter, beams so dense that they punched through armor like it was paper. "Sir," Yoon Seo said, "the Vex fleet is moving. They're beginning their approach." Tae-sung looked at the tactical display. 200 red dots were advancing toward the 12 blue dots representing the human fleet. It looked absurd. It looked like certain death. "How long until they're in range?" he asked. 18 minutes, Subin replied. Tae-sung activated the fleet-wide communication channel. His face appeared on screens aboard all 12 ships. Thousands of crew members looked up at their admiral. "This is Admiral Tae-sung," he began. "In a few minutes we will engage the Vex Imperium. They outnumber us. They mock us. They believe we are weak." He paused, letting his words sink in. "They are wrong. Every person on these 12 ships represents the best humanity has to offer. Every weapon we carry is the result of years of research and innovation. Every system on these vessels is designed for one purpose, to prove that quality defeats quantity." He saw faces on the screens before him. Young and old, men and women from every nation on Earth. All of them had volunteered for this mission. All of them knew the stakes. "Today we show the galaxy what humanity can do. We will not destroy the Vex fleet. We will disable it. We will demonstrate such overwhelming superiority that they will have no choice but to respect us." Tae-sung stood straighter. "The Galactic Council believes we are primitive. The Vex believe we are weak. After today, they will believe differently. After today, they will understand that humanity does not need 1,000 ships. We only need 12, because these 12 ships are worth 1,000 of theirs." He saw determination on the faces looking back at him. He saw pride. He saw no fear. "All stations prepare for combat," Tae-sung ordered. "Execute demonstration protocol on my mark." The communication channel closed. The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency, each person focused on their tasks. Subin stood beside Tae-sung, watching the tactical display. "Sir, do you think they'll surrender after the demonstration?" Tae-sung considered the question. "The Vex are warriors. Surrender is not in their nature, but respect, that we can earn." 10 minutes to contact, Yoon Seo announced. Tae-sung sat down in the command chair. Around him the bridge hummed with quiet activity. Outside the stars shone cold and distant. Somewhere among them the Vex fleet was approaching, confident in their numbers, certain of their victory. They had no idea what was coming. Humanity had spent 20 years preparing for this moment. 20 years developing weapons and defenses that pushed the boundaries of possible. 20 years learning from their mistakes, driven by the memory of everyone who had died because Earth was unprepared. 5 minutes, Subin said softly. Tai-Sung closed his eyes briefly, thinking of the harmony, of all the people who had died so that humanity could learn and grow. When he opened them again, his resolve was absolute. All ships, he said calmly. Weapons free. Engage at will. The Vex fleet opened fire first. 200 warships launched their plasma torpedoes simultaneously. The weapons blazed across space like angry stars, each one carrying enough destructive power to vaporize a small moon. The volley was meant to be overwhelming, to erase the human ships in a single devastating strike. On Nexus Prime Station, the Council representatives watched through their view screens. Some looked away, not wanting to witness the massacre. Others leaned forward, curious to see how quickly the humans would be destroyed. High Commander Rixtal stood with his forearms crossed, a satisfied expression on his face. The arrogant humans had refused to withdraw. Now they would pay the price for their foolishness. The plasma torpedoes reached the human fleet, and then something impossible happened. The torpedoes vanished, not exploded, not deflected. They simply disappeared as if they had never existed. The space around the human ship shimmered with a strange purple light, and the deadly weapons were gone. For 3 full seconds, silence filled the council chamber. Then the purple shimmer appeared again, this time behind the Vex fleet. The plasma torpedoes materialized exactly where they had been launched from. Their trajectories reversed. The Vex fleet's rear guard disappeared in a cascade of explosions. 15 warships were destroyed instantly by their own weapons. 20 more were heavily damaged, spinning out of control as internal fires consumed their systems. What just happened? Someone in the council chamber shouted. Rixtal's face had gone pale. Impossible. Those weapons should have destroyed them. Our torpedoes are the most powerful in the galaxy. Aboard the THS Indomitable, Admiral Tai-Sung watched the tactical display with calm satisfaction. Dr. Haywon's quantum shields had performed exactly as designed. The shields didn't absorb energy. They redirected it into subspace and released it wherever the user desired, in this case directly behind the Vex fleet. Captain Subin, Tai-Sung said quietly. Initiate Phase 2. Subin's fingers moved across her console. Aye, sir. All ships reveal configuration. The 12 human ships began to change. The outer hulls, designed to appear like simple frigates, retracted. Beneath the disguise, the true vessels emerged. Each ship was massive, 3 times larger than they had appeared. Weapon ports opened along their flanks, revealing arrays of cannons that glowed with contained power. These were not frigates. They were dreadnoughts, the most advanced warships humanity had ever built. Rixtal stared at the view screen in disbelief. They were hiding their true strength. Those ships, they're larger than our battlecruisers. Admiral, Lieutenant Yunseo reported from the weapons station. Hellbore cannons charged and ready. Target their command ships, Tai-Sung ordered. Disable only. We're not here to kill, we're here to teach. The Hellbore cannons fired. Beams of compressed matter shot across space. They moved faster than conventional weapons, arriving at their targets in milliseconds. The first beam struck a Vex battlecruiser directly amidship. The weapon punched through the armor, through the interior and out the other side without slowing. The hole it left was perfectly circular, the edges glowing from the heat. The beam continued through 5 more ships in a perfect line, drilling through each one with surgical precision. Every ship hit by the beam lost power immediately. Their engines died. Their weapons went dark. They were alive but helpless. 11 more beams fired from the other human ships. Each one disabled multiple Vex vessels. In the span of 10 seconds, 40 Vex warships were rendered completely inoperative. All ships, evasive pattern Delta, Subin commanded. Activate temporal dampeners. The Vex fleet tried to respond. They fired everything they had, launching missiles, plasma bolts, and kinetic rounds. But the human ships moved with impossible speed, dodging attacks that should have been unavoidable. The temporal dampeners were active. They created bubbles of altered time around the Vex ships, slowing everything within by microseconds. It wasn't much, but it was enough. The Vex weapons moved slightly slower. Their tracking systems responded slightly later. And in space combat, microseconds meant the difference between a hit and a miss. The human ships, unaffected by the dampeners, moved at normal speed. They seemed to dance between the Vex attacks, graceful and untouchable. This is impossible, Rixtal whispered, watching his fleet fall apart. They're toying with us, he was right. The humans were demonstrating their capabilities, not trying to win a battle. Every shot was calculated. Every maneuver was precise. They moved like surgeons, cutting away the Vex fleet's ability to fight while keeping casualties to a minimum. Aboard the Indomitable, Commander Junho watched from the Marine Ready Room. His troops were prepared to board disabled Vex ships if necessary, but it was becoming clear they wouldn't be needed. The battle was already over. "The Admiral is making a statement," Junho said to his second-in-command. "He's showing them that we could destroy them, but we choose not to." The Oracle, the quantum computer coordinating the fleet, processed thousands of calculations every second. It predicted Vex movements before they happened. It optimized weapon firing solutions. It managed shield distributions and power levels. The 12 human ships fought as one organism, perfectly synchronized. Another volley from the Hellbore cannons disabled 15 more Vex ships. The human vessels repositioned, spreading into a wider formation that surrounded the remaining enemy fleet. "Sir," Subin reported, 70 Vex ships are now disabled. 30 more are heavily damaged and withdrawing. The remaining vessels are holding position but not firing. Taesung nodded. "Open a channel to the Vex flagship." The view screen flickered and High Commander Rixtal's face appeared. He looked shaken, his earlier arrogance completely gone. "This is Admiral Taesung of the Terran Hegemony," Taesung said, his voice calm and measured. "Your fleet is disabled, not destroyed. Your crews are alive, not dead. This is our mercy. Do not mistake it for weakness." Rixtal's mouth opened, but no words came out. "We did not come here to conquer," Taesung continued. "We came to defend what is legally ours. The Kepler Expanse colonies are recognized under galactic law. We will not surrender them. We will not withdraw." He paused, letting his words sink in. "You mocked our small armada. You called us primitive. You thought 12 ships could not stand against 200. Taesung's expression hardened. "You were wrong. Our 12 ships are worth more than your 200 because we built them to be. Quality defeats quantity, High Commander. Remember that lesson." The communication channel closed. On Nexus Prime, the council chamber was silent. Every representative stared at their view screens, trying to process what they had just witnessed. 70 Vex warships disabled, not a single human vessel damaged. The battle had lasted 17 minutes. 17 minutes to change everything the galaxy thought it knew about warfare. Ambassador Jiwoo stood in her observation room, watching the aftermath. A small smile crossed her face. The demonstration had worked exactly as planned. Nobody would mock humanity's armada again. The emergency council session reconvened 6 hours after the battle. The chamber that had been filled with mockery and laughter now held only tension and uncertainty. Representatives whispered among themselves, casting nervous glances at the human section where Ambassador Jiwoo sat. She had changed nothing about her appearance. Same gray uniform, same calm expression. But everyone in the room now saw her differently. She was no longer a representative of a primitive species. She was a representative of a power that had just rewritten the rules of galactic warfare. Council Arbiter Velmon called the session to order. The crystalline being's voice carried a note of strain that had not been there before. "This council acknowledges the events of the past solar rotation. High Commander Rixtal, do you wish to present evidence of human aggression?" Rixtal stood slowly. His forearms hung at his sides. He looked smaller than before, diminished. "I withdraw all accusations against humanity," he said quietly. "The Vex Imperium acknowledges that we acted on incomplete information." Murmurs filled the chamber. Rixtal, the proud warrior, was admitting defeat. "Furthermore," Rixtal continued, "I formally apologize to the Terran hegemony for our hostile actions. The Vex Empire wishes to open diplomatic channels with humanity." Jiwoo rose from her seat. Every eye in the chamber turned to her. She walked forward slowly, her footsteps echoing in the silence. "Members of the council," Jiwoo began, her voice clear and steady. "I stand before you today not to gloat or to threaten. I stand before you to speak truth." She turned slowly, making eye contact with representatives throughout the chamber. "When humanity first reached the stars, we were attacked. Our ship was destroyed. 300 people died before we could even say hello. That day taught us a harsh lesson about the galaxy we had entered." Some representatives shifted uncomfortably. They knew the incident she was referring to. Few had cared at the time. "We could have hidden," Jiwoo continued. We could have retreated to our small corner of space and hoped to be forgotten. But that is not the human way. Instead, we chose to become strong. We chose to develop technology that would ensure such a tragedy could never happen again. She pulled out a data device and activated it. Holographic displays appeared throughout the chamber, showing technical specifications that made several representatives gasp. These are the quantum shield generators, Jiwoo explained. They redirect energy rather than absorb it. This technology alone makes conventional weapons obsolete. We developed it in secret over 15 years, using principles of physics that most species dismissed as theoretical nonsense. The display changed, showing the Hellbore cannons. These weapons fire compressed matter. The density is so great that they can punch through any known armor. They are precise, controllable, and devastating. Another display. The temporal dampeners create localized time distortions. They give us a critical advantage in combat speed and reaction time. Jiwoo deactivated the displays. But these technologies are not what makes humanity dangerous. What makes us dangerous is our mindset. We do not rely on numbers. We rely on innovation. We do not build larger fleets. We build smarter ships. She turned to face Rixtal directly. You asked how we developed such advances so quickly. The answer is simple. While other species were content with what they already had, we were desperate to survive. Fear made us clever. Necessity made us creative. A representative from the Crystalline Therian Collective spoke up. Ambassador Jiwoo, your display of power was impressive, but it raises questions. Why should we trust that humanity will use such weapons responsibly? Jiwoo nodded. A fair question. Let me answer it with facts. My fleet disabled 70 Vex warships. We could have destroyed them. We chose not to. Every Vex crew member survived. Every ship can be repaired. We demonstrated overwhelming force, but we showed mercy. She pulled out another document. Furthermore, I present evidence regarding the Kepler expanse. These are registration records showing that humanity filed proper claims to those territories 18 months ago, according to Section 7 of the Galactic Charter. More displays appeared, showing dates, coordinates, and legal documentation. The Vex claims of ancient ownership are not registered with the Council. They have no legal basis. We did not invade their territory. We settled unclaimed space according to proper procedures. Velmon examined the documents, cross-referencing them with Council records. After several minutes, the Arbiter spoke. The human documentation is correct and properly filed. The Kepler expanse settlements are legal under galactic law. Jiwoo allowed herself a small smile. So let me summarize. Humanity followed the law. The Vex attacked us without justification. We defended ourselves with measured force. And yet, when we arrived at this council, we were mocked. We were dismissed as primitive. We were told our fleet was too small to matter. She paused, letting the words hang in the air. You should have asked why we only sent 12 ships. You should have wondered what those 12 ships could do. But you did not ask. You assumed, and your assumptions were wrong. The chamber was completely silent now. Every being present was processing the implications of what had happened. The galaxy's power structure had shifted, and they were all trying to understand their place in this new reality. I come before this council with a proposition, Jiwoo said. Humanity does not seek to dominate the galaxy. We seek to be respected partners. We will share some of our medical and agricultural technologies freely to demonstrate our good intentions, but our military technology will remain ours alone. A representative from the Avian Skyborne Union spoke. What assurance do we have that humanity will not use its superior weapons against us? You have the same assurance we had when we entered a galaxy full of species that could destroy us, Jiwoo replied. None, but consider this. We have had the power to defeat the Vex for years. We could have attacked at any time. We did not. We only acted when forced to defend ourselves. She gestured to the display still floating in the air. Humanity built these weapons because we were afraid. Because we remembered the 300 people who died during first contact. Because we refused to be helpless again. But we are not conquerors. We are defenders, Rixtal stood again. Ambassador Jiwoo speaks truth. The human fleet could have destroyed us. They chose mercy instead. That is the mark of a species worthy of respect. He turned to face the council. The Vex Imperium formally requests that humanity be granted full member status with voting rights. More murmurs. This was unprecedented. The Vex were proposing to elevate humanity to the same status as the oldest and most powerful species in the galaxy. Furthermore, Rixtal continued, I propose that humanity be designated an apex species, with all associated rights and responsibilities. The chamber erupted in debate. Apex species status was rare, granted only to civilizations that had demonstrated exceptional capability and wisdom. Only 7 species currently held that designation. Velmon called for order. This proposal requires time for proper consideration. But given the events we have witnessed, I believe the Council should give it serious weight. We will vote on this matter in 3 solar rotations. The Arbiter turned to Jiwoo. Ambassador, does humanity accept these proceedings? Jiwoo bowed slightly. The Terran hegemony accepts. We look forward to working with the Council as equals, not as subjects. As the session adjourned, representatives approached Jiwoo one by one. Some offered congratulations. Others requested private meetings to discuss trade agreements or technology exchanges. All of them now saw humanity with new eyes. Later in her private quarters, Jiwoo contacted Admiral Tae-sung. His face appeared on the screen, looking tired but satisfied. Ambassador, he greeted her. I watched the council session. Well done. We did it together, Jiwoo replied. Your demonstration made everything else possible. The galaxy understands now that humanity is not to be underestimated. Tae-sung nodded. What happens next? Jiwoo smiled. Now we show them that we can be as good at peace as we are at war. 3 weeks had passed since the battle. The galaxy was still adjusting to its new reality. The Council had voted unanimously to grant humanity full member status. More surprisingly, they had also approved apex species designation by a margin of 58 to 15. Humanity now sat at the primary council table, with equal voice to the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. Ambassador Jiwoo had been busy. 17 different species had requested formal meetings. 8 wanted to discuss trade agreements. 5 asked about technology exchanges. 4 proposed military alliances. All of them treated her with a respect that had been completely absent just a month before. Admiral Tae-sung kept the fleet at the Kepler Expanse border. Not as a threat, but as a reminder. The 12 dreadnoughts patrolled the human colonies, their presence ensuring that no one would challenge humanity's claim again. On the flagship Indomitable, Captain Subin had been promoted to commander. She now served as Tae-sung's second-in-command, responsible for coordinating fleet operations. She stood on the bridge reviewing reports from the other ships. Commander, Lieutenant Yunseo called from the sensor station. We're receiving a priority transmission from Council Arbiter Velmon. It's marked urgent, Subin frowned. Put it through to the Admiral's ready room. Inform him immediately. Minutes later, Tae-sung emerged from his office, his expression grave. Commander Subin convened the senior staff. We have a situation. The meeting room filled quickly. Dr. Haewon arrived from the science lab, still wearing her research coat. Commander Jun-ho came from the marine deck, his combat uniform pristine. The other department heads took their seats, all curious about the emergency summons. Tae-sung activated the central display. A star chart appeared, showing the known galaxy. At the edge, beyond the furthest explored systems, a cluster of red markers pulsed ominously. 4 hours ago, Tae-sung began, Council Deep Space Monitoring Stations detected an anomaly. These readings, he gestured to the red markers. An extragalactic fleet, 97 ships, all of unknown design. They're approaching the outer rim at faster than light speeds. Silence fell over the room. An extragalactic threat meant something from beyond their galaxy, beyond all known space. Something completely alien. Have they attempted communication? Dr. Haewon asked. None, Tae-sung replied. But their trajectory is clear. They're heading directly toward Council space. Analysis suggests they'll reach the first inhabited systems in 6 days. Subin studied the display. What does the Council want from us? Tae-sung's jaw tightened. They want our help. Arbiter Velmon specifically requested that humanity take the lead in the response. They want us to demonstrate the same capability we showed against the Vex. Jun-ho leaned forward. 3 weeks ago they were mocking our small fleet. Now they want us to protect them? Circumstances changed, Tae-sung said quietly. The Council is afraid. They've never faced an external threat like this. Their fleets are large but conventional. They know that numbers alone might not be enough. Dr. Haewon pulled up additional data on her personal display. Sir, I've been analyzing the sensor readings. These ships are massive, each one easily 3 times the size of our dreadnoughts. But their energy signatures are strange. Almost organic. Organic? Subin asked. The ships might be alive, Heywan explained. Or partially biological. It's technology we haven't encountered before. That makes them unpredictable. Taesung considered this. Can our weapons affect organic ships? The Hellbore cannon should work regardless of the target's composition, Heywan said. But the quantum shields might be less effective if they're using biological energy sources. I'd need more data to be certain. Yunseo spoke up from her position. Admiral, if I may, we proved that we can defeat conventional forces with our 12 ships. But 97 unknowns? That's a different calculation. Taesung nodded. You're right. Which is why I've already given orders to decloak the rest of our fleet. Subin's eyes widened. The rest of our fleet, sir? A slight smile crossed Taesung's face. Commander, did you really think Earth only built 12 ships? We've been constructing vessels in secret shipyards for 20 years. The 12 ships you see are just the ones we wanted the galaxy to know about. He modified the display and suddenly the star chart was filled with blue markers. Over 100 human vessels, all hidden throughout council space, all awaiting orders. 137 ships, Taesung said. Each one as advanced as the dreadnoughts. Each one capable of matching 10 conventional warships. We kept them hidden because we didn't want to appear aggressive. But now the galaxy needs to see what Earth can really do. Junho grinned. They mocked our small armada. Wait until they see our real armada. Exactly, Taesung agreed. But this isn't about showing off. This is about defense. The Council has asked for our help, and we will provide it. Not because we owe them, but because it's the right thing to do. He looked around the table at his officers. We have 6 days to prepare. Dr. Heywan, I want you working with Council scientists to analyze every scrap of data about these incoming ships. Commander Junho, coordinate with the Vex military. They're warriors, and we might need ground forces if any of those ships make it to inhabited worlds. Commander Subin, Taesung continued, you'll coordinate the fleet assembly. Contact all hidden vessels. I want them organized into battle groups within 48 hours. We're going to show these invaders what happens when they threaten Council space. Subin stood straighter. Yes, sir. Should I inform Ambassador Jiwoo? Already done, Taesung replied. She's coordinating the political response. The Council is forming a unified command structure. For the first time in their history, all 73 species will be fighting together. He deactivated the display and stood. 20 years ago, humanity was nearly destroyed because we were unprepared. We vowed that would never happen again. We built weapons. We developed technology. We planned for every possible threat. Taesung walked to the viewport looking out at the stars. The galaxy mocked us because they didn't understand. They thought our small armada meant we were weak. They didn't realize it meant we were efficient. They didn't understand that every ship we built was designed to maximize force projection. He turned back to face his officers. Now an external threat approaches, something the Council has never seen before, and they're looking to us for leadership. Not because we have the most ships, but because we have the best ships. Not because we're the oldest species, but because we're the most innovative. Subin stood beside him. Admiral, do you think we can win? Taesung looked at her seriously. 3 weeks ago, the entire galaxy thought 12 ships couldn't defeat 200. They learned they were wrong. These invaders are about to learn the same lesson. He straightened his uniform. Fear made us clever, Commander. It made us prepare. It made us build weapons that other species never imagined. Now we're going to use those weapons to defend not just humanity, but all of Council space. The meeting adjourned. Officers rushed to their stations, each one focused on their assigned tasks. The Indomitable hummed with renewed energy as the crew prepared for what was coming. Throughout Council space, humanity's hidden fleet began to decloak. One by one, the sleek dreadnoughts revealed themselves, moving into defensive positions around key systems. The other species watched in amazement as the small human armada grew into a formidable force. On Nexus Prime, Ambassador Jiwoo stood before the Council once more. But this time she spoke not as a defendant, but as a leader. You mocked our armada, she said calmly. You called it small. You were right. What you saw was small. But what you didn't see was the rest of our fleet waiting and ready. Humanity does not boast. We do not threaten. We simply prepare. She looked around the chamber. An external threat approaches. We will face it together, and we will show these invaders what the combined might of the Council can achieve when we stand united. Jiwoo's voice grew stronger. Let them come. Let them test us. They will learn the same lesson the Vex learned. They will learn what happens when you underestimate those you consider weak. They will learn that quality defeats quantity. They will learn that innovation defeats tradition. She paused, letting her words echo through the chamber. They will learn what it means when Earth goes to war. The council erupted in agreement. For the first time in their long history, all 73 species stood together, united against a common threat. And at the center of that unity stood humanity, the species that had been mocked just weeks before, now leading the defense of the entire galaxy. Aboard the Indomitable, Admiral Taesung watched as the fleet assembled. 137 human dreadnoughts, each one a testament to 20 years of innovation and determination. Each one a promise that humanity would never again be helpless. "Commander Subin," he said quietly, "they mocked our small armada." Subin smiled. "They won't make that mistake again, sir." "No," Taesung agreed, watching the stars. "They won't."